Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is a review of Princess of Venus from American Mythology. So this is part of their Edgar Rice Burroughs line of comics, and so this is a one-shot of Princess Douari of Venus, and she's a spinoff from Carson of Venus. And so we'll be taking a look at this story. But first, I wanted to start with the outfit she's wearing. So this outfit is something she's been wearing in all the American Mythology comics. This is the one shot of Carson of Venus, the first one they put out, and she's obviously wearing the same outfit. And I really like it. It looks like she is a alien princess of a savage land, and it has this kind of classic look to it, like it might be out of the 30s. And so I looked it up, and sure enough, it is actually from the 1930s. This is a rendering of Princess Douari by a Italian artist that was in one of the original novels, and it's just beautiful. I mean, this outfit is terrific. I love it. This is one of my favorite renderings of a princess in a Burroughs novel ever. And, you know, I just love this outfit. It just perfectly suits the character. And so it's really cool that they went back and pulled, you know, something like that for the modern look of Princess Douari. And so I do like this cover. It's basically based on her design, which I do like, as I've said, and just this action pose, which is really great. I mean, it just clearly tells a story. I mean, she is being menaced by this monster. She's ready to defend herself. Very clear, very dynamic looking, grabs your attention. I do like it. The only criticism I really have is the spider monster is kind of covered up in this web, and it may just have been, you know, kind of an idea of trying to make it, you know, make him more mysterious, or trying to kind of differentiate this cover from the millions of other covers with spider monsters on it. But I feel like it might have been a little more effective if we could see the monster a little better, you know, if he wasn't obscured by the web. But otherwise, it's a very solid cover, and I'm really glad that I have it. There is a variant cover by Mike Wolfer that's basically just a really beautiful, realistic, detailed rendering of Princess Douari, and I really wanted that one too, but unfortunately it only is available if you order a bunch of copies of it. So I'll check online, but since you have to order a bunch of copies to get the variant, probably it's going to be expensive, but I'll look into that one too. So let's talk about the interior here. So we have a story by Pat Shand, who's written a bunch of different stuff, and then the artwork is by Alfred Lee. And I gotta say, this is Alfred Lee's first actual comic as far as drawing interiors go. Looking at his Facebook, he looks like he does a lot of sketch covers that are really, really well rendered. And so for his first comic, as far as drawing it goes, I gotta say, this is pretty solid stuff. He has a pretty good grasp on storytelling. It's clear, it flows. The rendering is inconsistent, and I will say that this guy is a much, much better artist than what you're actually seeing in this comic. But, you know, it's just different when you're actually having to draw, you know, 100-some drawings in an issue than if you're having to render one character for a cover. So that's why, you know, when you're trying out for a comic or something, they always advise you don't just turn in pinups. You want to draw panel by panel storytelling, because it's just very different. I gotta say, for a first time out, this is very solid. And I suspect that, you know, the next time out, or maybe, you know, a few issues from now, this guy is going to be really good at doing this. The story actually is not the easiest to draw anyway. This is a very old school sort of story about a princess, and at the beginning of the story, you know, she wants to learn how to fight, and she's kind of snuck into this session with some warriors, and is, you know, kind of in the corner trying to imitate the stuff that they're learning, trying to master those moves, and then something happens. And I'm not going to spoil it and say what, but let's just say Princess Dewari has to kind of save herself, and at the end, we have a very satisfying conclusion to the peril that she's put in. And it's kind of this whole story where we see her go from, kind of a wannabe warrior to hopefully overcoming, what is thrown at her. And I gotta say, it is really well done. As far as the pacing goes, it really feels like a comic from the 80s or 90s. And that is a high compliment, because that's back when people knew how to tell these sorts of stories in a single issue. And this is probably one of the best single issue stories of this kind that I've read in a while, outside of maybe Squirrel Girl or something. Ryan North just is a master at telling single issue stories. But as outside of that, this is a really impressive, establish the character, establish our villains, and have a satisfying, complete conclusion, no loose ends to tie up, no to be continued, just a single issue you can buy and enjoy. And I gotta say, I am very, very impressed that that's what this was. Again, the artwork is inconsistent, but again, that just comes from, this being the guy's first time out. The thing I'm noticing about the American Mythology comics, the artwork is not always the best, but they tend to get really solid creative teams on there, and that when they get it together, maybe they need a little bit of time to fill each other out, or maybe they just need a longer deadline or whatever, they produce some really good stuff, as evidenced by Carson of Venus, Warlord of Mars, which is right over my shoulder. That was done by an art team that I thought was on the Carson of Venus miniseries, but this one shot looked great, and the same thing with Moon Maid. The first issue of the miniseries was kind of mixed, but the one shot looked gorgeous, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what that creative team does with that second issue. I'm hoping it looks really great. I'm hoping, all these creative teams just gel, and we get some really great artwork, because American Mythology is a smaller company, unlike Dynamite that produces Edgar Rice Burroughs' Mars stuff. They don't have all these big names, lined up. Dynamite has had, Alex Ross and Kevin Smith and Garth Ennis and Joe Jusko covers and all this stuff working for them on various projects. And, American Mythology is this much smaller company. So, it's harder for them to, kind of get these big names that just, can churn this stuff out in their sleep. But that being said, the talent they get is very solid. I think this writer is great. I think this artist, given time to grow, is going to be great. And the coloring didn't really make the pencils pop, but it also didn't diminish them. It's not the muddy mess that we got on the Carson of Venus miniseries. And again, this panel I'm pointing out, like, there are no corners cut here. When the artist was asked to render a bunch of people fighting, he drew a bunch of people fighting. And if you collect modern comics, a lot of people will take shortcuts and be like, oh, okay, here's two people and everybody else is in shadow or something, or like, we're just going to imply there's an army. No, he drew an entire panel of just guys going at it. So you got to admire that. And like I said, I really hope there is more with Princess of Venus, because this was a solid one shot, and the ending implies that there is going to be more. And I don't know if that's just, kind of a nice way to end the story, saying that there's more, adventures for her, or if that is indicating that there will be a Princess of Venus miniseries. I hope so. I would definitely like to see Princess Dewari in action some more. And it's kind of cool, after, let's see, 70 some years, 80 some years, whatever it's been, to actually see her in her own comic for the first time. So that's really cool. So overall, I just really like this package, and recommend it. And the next thing coming out of American Mythology will be the second issue of Moon Maid Catacombs of the Moon, as I was pointing out. And that'll hit next month. And then there's also going to be a Pellucidar at the Earth's Core miniseries called Pellucidar at Wings of Death. And that's available to order right now. And I've got to remember to order that. I haven't put in my request for that with my local comic shop. I think I'll probably do that after I stop taping. But if you ever miss these comics, they are available on Comixology if you want to read them online, or by order from American Mythology. Just go to American Mythology's website. And it typically takes a little bit for them to put them up on their website, but you will be able to order them eventually. So anyway, that's it. Like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, see ya.